We are back on the record on case number 19826. I'm sorry, 198216 DC. Just to clarify, I figured out who that person was. He was supposed to be in a hearing with the other referee. So, Mr. Perlman, your next witness, please.
Okay, I'm going to call my client. I'm just going to at my door here. I hear a vacuum.
Okay. All right, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. State your name for the record, please.
Wendy Marie Kent.
Okay, hello, Ms. Kent. How are you? And you are
Good. How are you?
okay, and you are the mother. What is your son's name?
Daniel Justin Bishaw.
Okay, and in terms of you filed a motion. What are you requesting in your motion?
To get to see my son more.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, are you okay, so I'm going to ask you a few general questions here. So how would you describe your relationship between you and your son?
Amazing. Unbreakable.
Okay.
Loving.
Okay,
We have a bond.
very good. Okay. So do you are you do you have a strong emotional relationship with your child?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And when he's in your care, do you provide for his essential needs?
Yes.
Okay. And what type of things, I guess, do you provide a stable and secure and safe environment for the child?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Who do you think between you and Mr. Bishaw can provide a more stability for the child?
I do.
Okay. And why is that?
He doesn't work. As far as I know from being with him, he's unstable.
Okay.
That's
Is it your understanding that he's moved around a significant amount in the last few months or couple of years?
what was the question again, Jeff? Sorry.
I'm sorry. So has Mr. Bishaw well, I'll strike that. I'll
Yeah.
strike that. I'll ask another question. What type of so you had your child for approximately around 60 days over the last few months.
Correct.
Mr. Bishaw was in jail, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And were you present when Mr. Bishaw was arrested?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and what happened?
We ended up being at McDonald's just before 9:30, me and my mom. And when Dan pulled up, he was late. And we seen the boy sitting in the front seat. And we were both stunned. We took video and so he handed me the boy. And as soon as I got the boy in my custody, I called the cops, explained to him what happened. And then spent the day with the boy. And then
1 second. And then were you there when Mr. Bishaw got arrested?
yes, I was. Me and my mom were bringing the boy back. And when we got there, they had Dan in handcuffs, I believe. And then they explained to me that he had a warrant for Sheboygan. And then when they end up taking off with Dan to go to jail finally, Matt Bishaw was there, and Matt explained to him that he was working on his vehicle and couldn't take Dan um to drop off or to pick up Daniel. And I know that's incorrect. Um
Okay, so,
Normally,
but
yes,
I guess, okay, but you were there, you witnessed him being arrested in your
yes,
understanding because he had a warrant for his
yes.
arrest. Okay, and during the time when the child was with you for that extended period of time, were you, how did you feel that you managed in terms of day-to-day parenting?
We did, I think I did really good. He did lots of learning, he had lots of fun, he had lots of time with family finally, and I think it
Okay,
went very good.
okay, did he feel comfortable, or I guess, did you feel like there was open communication where he was able to communicate with you?
Yes, through the time I had him from May 25th to July 12th, he actually talked better than what he does now.
Okay,
You could actually understand him better. I practiced with words with him that I got from the school, and
so
yeah,
you got something to go over with to review with him over the summer
yes,
school, okay?
yep.
And do you think that was beneficial to him?
Oh yes, it definitely helped him.
Okay. And do you what what time did he typically go to sleep?
About 8:39 most
Okay,
nights.
all right. And um would you ensure that he went to sleep at, a reasonable time?
Correct.
Okay, and then did
We
you
all had bedtimes.
as a child?
Yes.
Okay,
All
so
five of us. So,
okay. So did you grow up in a pretty healthy household?
yes, correct.
Okay, and did you um it's my understanding that your family's Christian oriented and you guys went to
Yes.
church and whatnot?
Yep, we're all baptized. We all go to church still.
Okay,
Yep.
and that
We all
and
believe in God.
great, okay, and is that something um that you want for your son?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and do you share um and I guess do you educate him when he's around and
Yes, I read to him. We practice with letters and numbers when he's here. He loves the color.
okay. Did you
Mm.
feel, was it overwhelming? I mean,
No, not one bit. I couldn't have enough of it.
okay. And then, and how old are you, ma'am?
I am 38.
Okay, and you're one of five children?
Yes, correct.
Okay, where do you fall
With
in
two
that?
half brothers and sisters.
Okay, so where do you fall in that mix? Are you,
I'm in the middle. I'm the second youngest from the five, and I'm in the middle between the seven.
okay, all right.
I
So,
got three younger brothers and two older, and a half sister that's older.
okay. And so did you grow up kind of watching your younger brother and,
Oh yeah, I was the big sister, the babysitter.
okay, all right.
Yeah, when
And,
my mom was gone at work. So
okay, and have you, when, I guess, um, do you feel overwhelmed, I guess, when, kids
never.
especially that age have a tendency to, get out of line and misbehave at times and get wild?
No.
How do you respond to that?
I normally just try to calm him down if he is ever, out of control, but he never gets that way, really, ever. So he's
Okay,
never been in trouble. If he was, I'd stand him up in a corner.
okay. all right,
That was our punishment as kids.
okay.
Standing in a corner.
And do you have in terms of, there were some issues brought up, I guess, throughout these proceedings, and um do you have any, I guess, a history of mental health issues that you're aware of?
No, I do not.
Okay. And you're currently, are you currently taking any substances that would impair your
No,
ability to in any way?
none at all.
Okay. All right. And then we heard testimony previously that you were working for the union. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I believe you began working there in January of 2021.
Correct.
Okay. And um, you took a pause, I believe around the fall of 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And why, and
Uh,
why was that?
because you get laid off when the job is completed.
Okay. And were a lot of the jobs you were getting, were they out of state?
At the time, yes. When I first started, I had to go out of state to Minnesota. I was on a work permit because I wasn't a union worker, and that's how I got in. And then after being in it for a year, I got into the union, and then I was transferred to another union for Michigan, and that's how it started as far
Okay.
as the job. Yes.
And then, I guess going forward, it's my understanding that you were looking for opportunities closer, in Michigan. Is that correct?
Correct. So I could exercise my time with my son, get my parenting time.
Okay. And you live, and who do you live with?
I live with my mom and dad and my older brother Mike.
Okay. And how is your how is the child's relationship with your dad and mom and Mike?
He loves it here. Most of the time he's on my hip, but he does go, and hang out with the family, well, with me.
Okay. And during when Mr. Bashaw was in jail, did the child speak about his father often, or?
No,
Okay.
I don't-
Okay. And do you are you do you have any concerns about Mr. Bashaw, the environment that Mr. Bashaw is in?
yes, I do. He does have narcolepsy, which he falls asleep. And I know from his past and heard of his past of him uh using needles and stuff. I've seen him drinking. He was abusive to me, but I never turned him in. I mean,
Okay.
and plus all of his legal stuff going on now is also a concern.
Okay. All right. And are you um did your son witnessed Mr. Bashaw being arrested?
Yes, he did. He cried and said he wanted his daddy, and I told him that his daddy would be back out soon, is what I told my son.
Okay. All right. And at the time of you indicated that there was how long were you in a relationship with Mr. Bashaw?
For about 14 years, I got with them before I was 20, and they kicked me out when I was 33, and the boy was about 3 months old.
Okay. And
So a
then,
long time.
okay. And then, shortly after that, that's when this case opened?
Yep. I helped him raise Kelly's boy Daniel. I helped Kelly's boy Daniel's daughter. I took care of all their family. I helped him with his parents. I mean, I did a lot for that family.
Okay.
So
And, um, and going back to, um, your, your job with the union, and I may have asked this, and, I believe, Philip addressed it earlier, but you, with the union, you're drug tested pretty regularly?
yeah,
Okay. You're breaking up. Wendy?
Yeah, I believe she's frozen.
oop, hold
Okay.
on.
Okay, now we hear you.
Can you
We're
hear me
good.
now?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
You're tested at orientation. If you get laid off and come back, you're drug tested, and they also do random.
okay. And you never failed a drug test, correct?
Nope.
Okay. Um, and you, and how would you, um, pardon me, we, over the last, couple of years, you've had to file, um, uh, multiple motions to enforce your parenting time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and why did you? Why did you
I
file
did
those motions?
I did that because Dan wasn't allowing me to do my visitations. Um,
Okay,
a lot of times he wouldn't, or he said he would be there and not show up,
okay,
um, or give me excuses. So,
okay, and would um would you indicated there was a change. You noticed certain changes when your son was in your care for a longer period of time. Um,
correct.
okay, what were there also behavioral changes?
Um, yeah, he was definitely well more behaved. He would come back from dance a lot and be wanting to like smack me and different things. Um, when I had him for those 60 days or whatever it was, you could really understand him with him being here for like 2 weeks. And then when he came back from Candies, or since he's been at Candies, he's actually harder for us to understand. We have to slow him down and say his words more clear.
Okay. Um, do you believe um were there were there specific were there other instances, I guess, where you believe that it was not in your son's best interest to be with his father?
Yes, I came back from Minnesota. Dan didn't tell me nothing until I went to get him. He hurt his arm, either broke it or something. It was in a cast. Another time I was up in Crystal Falls and came back home to get him. He had a bunch of bruises on his back, and they weren't all the same color figurations. Um, and just recently, I mean, I know boy gets bruises and bumps and stuff, but he had a big scrape on his leg, got bruises on his knees. Um, before, when he's with his dad, a lot of times he'd be dirty, his ears were dirty. Um, or he had food still on his mouth. I mean, and a lot of times his excuses were, oh, we were late because I was getting him ready. Well, he's showing up dirty, I mean, but yeah.
And are you, I guess when if you ever have to work or be out of the house, who assists you in taking care of Daniel?
My mother or other family members, or if I
Okay,
have to find a daycare, I will do that.
okay. And just to be clear, you have your own driver's license and you're able to
Yes, I
go
do.
as you
And
need. Okay,
insurance, yep. I have a
okay,
legal vehicle, roadworthy, and a
okay.
car seat, yep.
In a car seat, okay. And do you and then since July, in July, the child was went back to Candy's home at some point, correct?
Yes, July 13th, or July 12th, he went back to Candy's.
Okay. And and it's your understanding that when Mr. Bishaw was released from jail, he moved in with Candy, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what and when and is it since then you still how often have you seen your child?
Um, when he first went back, it was every Thursday and Sunday. And Candy said she would work with me on Saturdays, but she never did. And then
So
just
twice
last
a week?
Tuesday,
So about
yes,
twice a week? Okay.
correct. And not because I wasn't trying.
Okay. And do you would you have any issue getting your child to and from school?
No, sir.
Okay. And do you would you ensure that his homework is done and that he's
Oh,
well?
yes. He
Okay.
has to have good grades,
Okay.
good attendance.
Okay. And do you have any um issue? Would you interfere with him with um his father being able to co-parent and I guess what
No, not as long as he was sober and could take care of him. No, I would have no issue with him and the boy.
okay.
And no exes that, or no people that got felons and bad people. So, yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that um his girlfriend he was with that was living with him at recently
Yeah.
your understanding that she was also involved in drugs and
Oh, yeah. She has a record.
okay.
Yep.
And and is it your um is that something, I guess you mentioned his drug habit and his um
Narcolepsy.
yeah, is this
Yeah.
something that you believe has affected his ability to be a good father?
Yes, because I got the boy's school records and he missed a lot of school and he only lived a mile or two away from school. He normally showed up in the afternoon. So yes, I do have concerns.
Okay. Would you ensure that he gets to school every day?
Oh yes, early.
Okay. Are
For
you a
s-
pretty punctual person?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially with my job. I get up early and work late. So
Okay. And in terms of a parenting time schedule, um, what do you think would be what schedule do you think would be in the best interest of the minor child?
I mean, if the judge will let me, I'd have the boy whenever they will let me have him. I mean, I got somebody to watch him if I have to go to work so I can support him. And
Okay. So
so,
we've discussed do you want to have you want to be the primary custodial parent, is it
yes,
fair to say? Okay.
correct.
And you'd have um no objection to Again, assuming he's in a safe environment.
Yes.
Mr. Bishaw having the child on weekends or
Yeah, I'd still
sharing,
like it to be supervised personally.
okay. And what type of um and is that because of your concern about his drug use and
Yes,
alcohol
correct.
use? Okay,
And his willing to break the law. I don't want the boy being a part of that.
okay.
Oh.
Um and um would you let me see, give me one moment, please. In general, would you consider yourself a loving, stable, and capable mother?
I do.
Okay, and is it fair to say that you want you believe that you more involvement and specifically that you being the primary custodial parent would be in the best interest of the child?
I do.
Okay, all right, thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Jeff,
Yeah.
the school emergency thing.
Oh, if I may,
Also,
I apologize.
Mm.
Um, and you there was a concern. You contacted his school, Daniel's school, correct?
Correct. The father did not tell me where the boy was going or if he was even in school. I found it out a different way. And I went there to put my name on his emergency list. And Deanne had his name and Kelly Dustin's on the emergency list. So I added mine.
Okay, and who's Kelly Dustin?
That is his longtime ex-girlfriend that he's been with off and on.
Okay, and it's and why did you ask him why um your name was not on the list, emergency list?
No, after I found that out, he was in jail, Jeff.
Okay, and is this the first time this past time, was this the first time that he's been in jail during your
As far as I know, I have not been told of any other time until I was in Crystal Falls and CPS got a hold of me and said that him and Kelly were arrested.
okay, and for what?
They said he was underneath the influence, and the boy wasn't in a proper car seat, is what the CPS worker told me.
Okay,
I
when were
don't know if they got or if they were swerving. I have no idea why he was pulled over.
and when were you told, or when did you learn of this?
This was probably like September in 2021, I believe.
Okay,
I'd
and
have to look on my phone to find the exact date, but that's close to the time.
okay, and
And oops.
do you recall what happened with that CPS matter?
Well, I was getting a hold of CPS because of the bruises on the boy's back, and Heidi had I talked to Heidi and she sent another caseworker that was up in Crystal Falls to talk to me. And he asked me questions if I knew about it. And I said I didn't have no idea that even happened.
Okay, and
And I showed him the pictures of the bruises on the boy's back. So
Okay. Is there, anything else that you, well, I guess here, one moment. Is there anything else that you want to, indicate to the court?
Um, just that, me and my boy love each other and he didn't want to leave his mommy. And, I just want what's best for my son to have the best healthy education life and not have to worry about, bad things happening to him.
Okay. And, okay, and, do you, and I guess I would, just give me one moment if I may.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I have, no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Kent, why do you believe that, Mr. Bashaw is currently using drugs?
Cause he's addicted to it, Your Honor. I've seen him DT. It's something he does.
When was that?
Um, the whole time I was with him, and when we go to pick up the boy, he seems messed up. Even
Was
my
that
other
when-
family members think so.
When the two of you were together, were you both using together?
I did smoke weed here and there, and then when the boy was born, I had morphine, Your Honor. And I barely ever drank alcohol, so.
And then just to clarify, you may have clarified this with Mr. Perlman, but I'm not clear. What's going on with your job right now?
Right now, I am laid off,
Okay,
because, I wanted to, there's jobs for me to work in Michigan, but I wanted to make sure I could be at these court dates. There's so many in a row. That's why I'm not back to work yet. And
understood.
plus I had my son with me. Not
So
that long ago.
this was the second period. There was a period in the fall of 2022 when you were taking a pause or however we called it. But now you're also laid off.
Yes, correct.
All right.
It
So you're
happens to union workers, to pipeliners.
sure. I just
And
wanted to
then
make
you
sure
get,
that.
yep, then you get unemployment until it runs out. So,
Okay. And then, so you're not currently drug testing,
no, not right now. As soon as I go back to work, I will be.
right? Right.
Yep.
As any, no, I understand it's part of the process. I'm just trying to
Yep.
figure out where we're at in the process.
Yep.
What,
Heidi did drug test me not that long ago. June something, I believe.
Who's Heidi?
She's a CPS worker, the specialist that did an investigation with me.
That was in June.
And,
I believe so.
and if I could build a
That's all right.
foundation.
I'd like to ask some more questions. Thanks. Ms. Kent, you
Yeah.
have a current pending CPS case?
No, I do not. It was closed. Not that long after I was out of candies, I believe. I got the exact date in the house, Your Honor.
Okay.
When they
I
closed it.
understand you're saying it's closed. I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay.
Yep, I'm
So-
just trying to help.
What was the case? What was it open
The
for as
case
far as
was open because Kelly's boy called the hospital, said I was shooting up oxys and heroin, and said the house was a mess.
So this was you were being investigated.
Me and Dan.
Okay.
Dan
both of
was
you.
tested positive for meth.
I'm sorry, when was this, Wendy?
This was when I gave birth to the boy. Like the very next day, CPS was at the hospital. That's when it all started. They called the night I went to the hospital. I got every report from the hospital and CPS.
Okay, so I think, Your Honor was asking about June. And that's,
She said June.
oh yeah, so June of this year, and you were interviewed because Candy
Yes, because her
No,
trying to get.
I don't want your attorney telling you what to say. That's
No, no,
completely.
no, I just,
No, I'm sorry. I
I just have to mute your
misunderstood your
attorney then.
question.
I'm asking the questions. You'll have redirect. And it's inappropriate for your attorney to tell you what to say, because now you know exactly what to say. All I'm trying to figure out is why was CPS testing you in June? This isn't me accusing you of something.
Yeah, okay. I understand
It's
your
important,
question.
listen, it's important for me to understand what's going on. Okay?
Correct. I was
Not what your
tested.
attorney tells you to say.
Do you
So
still want me to answer?
I do. What happened in
Okay.
June?
When I was with the boy, I got a letter in the mail from the courts to be questioned by Heidi. She came here, asked me a bunch of questions, and gave me a drug test at the end of it. It was for guardianship over my son.
The current open guardianship through.
Yes, which I knew nothing about.
Well, but it was, what do you know when the guardianship began?
No, not exactly. No, I do not. All I know is when I went to get CPS and my lawyer told me I could go to Candy's and get my son when Dan was in jail. And I went there and she showed the cop a paper saying she had temporary custody. That's how I found out, Your Honor.
Okay, that clarifies. Thank you. Mr. Bishaw, do you have any questions for Ms. Kent?
Yeah, you beat out there. Was you asking me that? If I had any questions, Ms. Kemp?
Yes.
Okay, yes, matter of fact, I do. Yes, Wendy, when you initially got that job, on the pipeline there, you were just nicely getting back to getting involved with the baby's life, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Because you wasn't able to see him a whole lot because of the.
No, I didn't see him a whole lot because you kept him from me. My mom wasn't working her other job at that time, Dan, and I could get him Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays.
Yeah, that was after the court actually put that in order. Right?
After our court date, sure, Dan, that's
Yeah,
when the
yeah,
3
but then,
days happened.
yeah, but you just nice to getting annoying because there's a big, it's hard for him to get to go with you. He's really upset and didn't want to go because he didn't really know of you and stuff.
No,
Listen,
that's incorrect.
you just get nicely, he's getting more comfortable with you, right? When you got that job and all that stuff.
No, he's been comfortable with me the whole time, Dan, even when I would barely see him because of you.
Well, but you guys just getting better at, he wasn't crying so much when you taking the stuff, but then when you left to go out of state for about a year, and you signed a paper about, you're giving up your visits for the baby, but you want me to transfer them over to your mother. And
What is the question? I'm lost.
I'll take care of that.
Okay, couldn't you have got a different job close to home and seen your son instead of going out of state?
Not at that time, no, because I wasn't in the union, Dan. And jobs around here, like the ALP job, I was living paycheck to paycheck where I couldn't take care of anything other than making it back and forth to work and paying a few bills and child support. So no, it didn't work. I don't have a high education for schooling, so no, there's nothing around at that time for me to do. I couldn't be a lawyer or doctor. No, there's nothing.
I mean, you went to go do that job. You remember where you went and had that paper notarized, me and you?
Yes, that was after I got the job. I wanted my mom to get the boy because I couldn't be there besides every Sunday or every other Sunday. So I wanted you to let her have him so you'd still be a part of this family. So he wasn't missing out like he does when I was home. And you agreed to it. And then after a few times, you disagreed with it and stopped my mom from letting him see him. Which at that time I was talking to him through video chat with my mom, and I actually was with my boy through video chat. So
You know, I offered that as well
while I was working.
when you when you getting ready to leave, I offered you to video chat him anytime you wanted, and I'd send you pictures and stuff, and you just told me to give them to your mother. But I did offer.
Correct.
Yep, I did offer.
You went against what we signed, so I don't know what your question is, Dan.
I was just saying that you took off and left the state for work when you could have got a job closer.
Yeah, to get
here.
an education so I could support my son.
I'm gonna object
There's
to the
nothing-
negative.
Okay.
Ms. Kent,
Wait till he asks a question. I'm sorry.
yes, we just need to, for everyone, it's questions and then answers, but Ms. Kent, I understand that you want to just say what you want, but the problem is you have to answer the questions Mr. Bishaw asked. Mr. Perlman will ask you questions on redirect if he feels like you need to answer more, okay?
Okay, I already answered him that there was
You
no
don't just
job.
answer the
Okay.
questions as you are asked. Do you understand?
Correct.
So, and I would just again, Your Honor, ask, again, indicate that this is narrative. There's no questions being asked for the last few minutes. So
I understand, but part of that is partially true. But part of what Mr. Bishaw is doing, as we're hopefully people are learning, is he makes a statement, but then asks. We have to wait a little bit. We have to be somewhat patient. And
I get
then
it.
Ms. Kent is just firing off. So this is relative chaos. I mean, I need Mr. Bishaw to ask questions. I understand he's having a hard time doing that, but Ms. Kent is just interrupting. So we're not going to be done. We have 59 minutes left in this hearing. Okay. So let's try to get through it together, everyone, or else we'll be back.
Okay.
Another situation when before you even had visitation, I would be indecent. The protective service told me I didn't have to. I'd take it down 1 day a week, letting you see me at the pizza place, you and your mother, correct?
You allowed that, yeah.
Yes. And then your mother went out to her vehicle and got a car seat, and you guys tried taking off. And that's when the police had to be called, correct?
No, Dan, it's not correct.
Okay, but the lady called the police and the cops come and everything else because you were trying to take off with him.
I was taking my boy for my visitation, Dan. I
You
didn't
hadn't-
do anything wrong.
But you had no visitation whatsoever at that time, Wendy.
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, no, you're wrong. We wasn't in the court system yet. It's just through protective services. They told me they would not.
I object. Same objection. Sorry.
Okay, then you talk, mentioned a few things about abuse and different things like that. Wendy, you recalled I took you up to your mother's in when you were swinging on me and stuff, when the cops come and took you.
Dan, this ain't a question. My mom called the cops on me because I said something about the Lord and she wanted them to check me out, and they did. So,
Yeah, because you told me at the mouth and you started swinging on me, couldn't tell you I'd love
no,
you that day.
that's incorrect. But you, what am I supposed to say, Judge, when this ain't true? I wasn't
Just
swinging
say
at
no.
him.
Just
that's
say
for
no.
sure.
That's. I'm sorry.
No, it's not true.
Yeah, that you just answer honest. You answer honestly. I'm not instructing you
I always do. So,
to lie.
And after I found out when you was pregnant, you're 7.5, 8 months long in there. Several people have tried to get you to go to the doctor for prenatal care also, correct?
no, I tried to get in there myself and they told me I had to know a certain date when I stopped my period. And then when I tried to set that up, I found out in March that I was pregnant and I had him in June. That whole time I tried to go see a doctor. So you're wrong.
Well, no, because your brother came over to our house and so did your mother trying to get you too. And I have tried several times. You kept giving me excuses.
Object to relevance.
I need a
No,
well,
it's
first of
not.
all, I need a question, but
Okay, what was the reasoning for you not going and getting a doctor, you walk in the hospital and get a doctor for, just get prenatal care. What was your reasoning?
There wasn't a reason. I called trying to get to see a doctor when I was pregnant. And they told me that I needed to know more stuff about last period date. And I told them it's always different. And so I had to go set up another appointment to try to find out my last cycle. And that's when I ended up having birth, Dan. So,
Well, there's several people can't remember that day, but anyway,
yeah.
what was a baby born with drugs in the system and addicted to drugs?
Is this a question?
Yes.
That was
The
a very
boy had
clear-
morphine.
I would say that was a very clear question.
He
Ms. Kent.
knows the answers. All I'm getting at, Judge.
Well, you don't need to
Sorry.
comment on that. Presumably your attorney knows the questions he's asking you, or the answers to the questions he's asking. Mr. Bishaw can ask you questions, whether he knows or not. Maybe this is helpful. I don't know the answer to these questions if it's not on the record. I can only consider things that are on the record.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
I asked if, when the baby was born, if he had drugs in the system and he was addicted to drugs.
He was not addicted to drugs, but yes, he had drugs in his system.
Okay, wasn't at the hospital right there, I'd leave. Why would they take the baby out of the room and put him in a nursery?
Objection is speculation.
I would agree.
Okay, he didn't want she wanted to hold him or she showed no interest.
I understand. Mr. Bishaw, it's not your time to testify.
I'm sorry.
Ask some questions, please.
Okay, and then he was transferred to Munson down to Traverse City because of his addiction. They couldn't deal with him up in Charlotte, and I stayed right there and at the hospital in Traverse, and any class I could take, or the new CPR, things like that. I took all those classes like that.
I'm not, how can I help you ask a question here? Because that's all a statement. Do you have any more questions for Ms. Kent?
Yeah, and yes, I do. She talks about these drugs. Well, I was on medication because I had a bad accident and I fell, and I was on these medications, and that's a drug I'm sure she's referring to, because if CPS come to the hospital, I volunteered to take drug tests all along as which she'd see him pulling the driveway, she'd take off and run for them.
Okay.
And she.
I'd object to this narrative. He's not he's testifying.
Agreed.
Oh, okay, Wendy, would you take off and run from the CPS people when they pull in to give you a drug test?
What's that?
Would you take off and run out the basement or leave so the CPS people could not drug test you?
No.
Did you at Bob and Reva's take off to the tall barns and they chased you?
I took off at Bob and Riva's because I was scared they were going to take the boy from me. Yes. Because Candy called CPS because I quit doing the early on visitations over at her house and put it over at Riva's. So she called CPS on me. Yes, I did take off.
Why would you be scared? You didn't take the baby though.
Exactly what I said. I was scared they were going to take the boy from me because of what you and Candy have been saying and doing.
I was doing everything I was supposed to. You wasn't meeting with people anyways. Yes, every time I dropped him off with you, the boy was clean, his hair was done. He might have had a little food on his mouth from eating breakfast, but you even say how nice he looked. I mean, his hair was all
I object to the narrative.
I agree.
Wendy, have you ever bought him any clothing or any toys?
Yes, I have, Dan.
Wait,
I bought him a four-wheeler. I bought him a bunch of clothes. I bought him shoes. I bought him all of his needs.
okay, I was just gonna say,
Um,
and any toy that he wanted to bring to the house, would you let him?
Yes. Even ones I didn't want to let because I knew they wouldn't come back, Dan. So.
I know you complained about that orange pair of socks you got back. His got wet or something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it true that CPS made us put the baby in my sister's bedroom at night because they felt unsafe?
That was between me, you, and Candy Dan, and CPS signed it. If you're can remember that far back.
Yeah, I can, but CPS is the one that put that stipulation in order, is what I'm saying.
We put it in order. It was our when we worked with Families First, we made the plan to make the baby safe. And you guys were saying I was sleepwalking and doing stuff. Yes. Yeah, the boy was in a not for very long, but yeah, he was in Candy's room in a play set or playpen, sorry.
Well, he was safe right there in the bedroom. Maybe I don't know why you think it. I would want him being with my sister. You know, why would burden her with that? Is our child.
Judge,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I would object. First of all, it's not a question. Secondly, I object to relevance. Again, this pertains to again, what's happened since the last court order.
Well, I agree with that, but I think on direct, we were going way back. And I think even with her mom, we were going way back. So it's hard for me to tell what people want to talk about. The time
Yeah.
frame, we shouldn't be talking about when the child was born. I agree. But it's been, the door's open. And so I'm trying to corral everybody back.
Yeah.
I don't know that we
Okay.
need to, we definitely don't need to relitigate the initial, the initial CPS case. I mean, the reality is you all signed a stip for this parenting time arrangement that's currently in order. And so presumably, or at least the court presumes, that you took all of that information into consideration when you signed that stip. So you've
Yes.
already, in a sense, you have all understood that you built an agreement that is the current order based on all that history. So this case right now, this motion is from that time period on. I mean, I understand that some of the best interest factors can relate back past that, but the reality is we're looking from that step on. Okay. That's what I'm trying to focus on. And what's the current state of things?
Yep, and I just want to add to, as far as like Kelly Dustin, she keeps bringing up, we've not been a couple since 2001 or 2002 anyways.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were talking about, anyway, I did not understand that. Sorry. I don't. Anyway, that's a statement you can make on when you're testifying. You can continue to ask questions, but I'm just telling you, we really don't need to relitigate the CPS
Yeah,
issues.
and those guys testified, you know, how well mannered he was and happy and joyful. Well, that doesn't come from somebody as you know, a dad that's being bad and not raising right thing. I had him in speech therapy, and he had a surgery, you know.
I object. Mr. Bashaw, is there any more questions?
Yeah. How come he wasn't took and do his other surgery that he had in July on his mouth from when he had him?
because it was rescheduled till a later date that they didn't even reschedule because they want him to do speech therapy.
He went through speech therapy. They had him scheduled for July 11th. He was
They
supposed to have the surgery.
rescheduled it, Dan.
You must have.
It- No, they did.
Okay.
My God.
I don't find anything funny about this court case.
No.
I
that's
don't,
not-
he doesn't
that-
believe me. He's lying about
Mr.
everything.
Bashaw, any further questions for this witness?
No, but that's very important. His speech, you know, the rest of his life. I mean, that's how definitely want to make sure he had that done as of the first one down to boss. And that's very important to his, you know, the rest of his life. And as he goes on, you know, me and him got a bond. I mean, it's unconditional, and you know, it's very loving. Everybody around him here loves him.
And with the speech
One sec.
therapist,
There was no
No question, no
there.
question.
well, there was about his appointment.
That's okay, Ms. Kent. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Bashaw, do you have a
Okay.
question for Ms. Kent?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
All right. Mr. Perlman, do you have any redirect?
Just very, very briefly. Ms. Kent, you indicated that CPS contacted you this summer. Is it your understanding that Candy called CPS regarding the guardianship case?
Yes,
Okay, and they came and spoke with you?
yes, and the guardianship lawyer.
Okay, and at that time, they took a drug test?
Yes,
Okay, were you expecting them to come?
no.
Okay, and-
Well, I wasn't sure, why she was coming there really. Because it was all like real short notice.
okay, so how much notice did you have that they were coming?
I don't even think a week, I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not exact, I'd have to look at my paperwork when I
Okay.
got it.
Okay, and did you pass the drug test?
Yes, I found out through Danielle from, CPS that I passed it.
Okay, and was there any CPS case open that you're aware of?
Nope, I tried to open up a case, to have them watch me with the boy and they said he's not here enough for them to do that.
Okay, and you okay, so I've no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bashaw, do you have any final questions for Ms. Kent based on the questions that Mr. Perlman was just asking?
No, you're not, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Perlman, do you have any further witnesses or exhibits?
Let me see here. I did let me see. There were several there were references to Mr. Bashaw's criminal record. There's an iChat attached to the motion. I would just ask to enter that as an exhibit.
Is it certified?
It is we purchased it directly from the website. Let me see here.
I think you'd have to get it in through Mr. Bashaw anyway. He hasn't testified yet,
Okay, so I don't have anything further at this time.
but I don't know if it's certified either. But you can look at that. I mean, I was asking honestly. I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't verify whether it was certified because this is the first time we have talked about it on the record. Well, first time we've talked about it ever. How's that? Okay, so other than that, then any further witnesses or exhibits, Mr. Perlman?
No, Your Honor.
All right, plaintiff rests. Mr. Bashaw, do you have any witnesses or exhibits, which would include yourself? You call yourself when you're representing yourself, if you would like to.
No, Your Honor.
You understand? Okay, that's fine. You don't have to testify, but did you want to testify?
Testified for what? I didn't understand that.
So the reason why I kept cutting you off when you were just making statements is because you're just asking questions. It wasn't for me to just be mean. Okay. It's if you want to offer your statements, if you want to say something to the court and have the court review it as evidence and consider it as evidence, you have to be under oath, and then you can tell your side of the story. Okay.
Sure.
But if you don't, I'm not going to make you do that. It's your choice. It's just
Sure.
when I'm asking if you have any witnesses, sometimes when people are unrepresented, that is confusing because yourself, you'd call yourself as well if you're wanting to make statements under oath. So
Sure.
I'm asking you now.
Yep, sure, I will. Yep.
All right, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. So this is your opportunity to tell the court. Sometimes I guess I summarize it as tell the court what you want and why, and any other parts about this, and then Mr. Perlman will be able to cross-examine you and ask you questions. Okay, so unless I have any questions, I'm not going to ask you any questions. I'm just going to listen. Okay.
Yep. All right, well, first of all, after the baby was born, we lived here basically with my sister, been here since basically birth, and loving family here. I got great support people, and myself, I've lived in the house in Albert for 35 years plus. But yeah, but since the baby is born, been here. I mean, we got a great bond. I do everything that possibly can for him, and any needs that he needs, and go to any appointments or any classes I have to do for him, or any doctor appointment, dentist, anything he needs. And you know, he's my apple of my eye. And I mean, we got an unconditional bond. And whatever, his schooling is very important to me, as long as his speech and his hearing, and the list goes on. And I heard Bundy speak about a couple of bruises on his back and stuff. Well, officers did come to the house, and they could see, because I bought him a full drive, 12-volt full drive truck, and as he's getting in and out of it, that's how he slid and got him on his back there and off the swing set. The officers see no problem with that whatsoever. But yes, he absolutely, he's a block away from the school here, and always somebody here, to care for him. And, he's always well fed at the right time, and he bathed. And, the school is 100% important to me. And so is, as well as my sister and her son, Matthew. But yeah, I love my eye, and I'd do whatever it takes to make sure he's safe and healthy.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Perlman, do you have any questions for Mr. Bishaw? Cross-examination, in other words.
I do. Mr. Bishaw, can you confirm that you're currently unemployed?
Yes, I'm not working at this time.
Okay, and how do you support yourself?
I am on disability.
Okay, and how do you ensure that the child's material needs are met when you're not working, and when you're not working?
It's to the money I have from my disability.
Okay.
And if there's some reason I couldn't possibly cover, I have my sister and Matt. I mean, my other sister had no problem helping out whatsoever.
Okay. Isn't it true that you have a suspended license?
No, I have a driver's license.
Okay. Can you isn't it true, Mr. Bishaw, that you've been pulled over for drunk driving or for driving under the influence with your minor child in the car?
No, Your Honor, that is not true.
Okay. Were you pulled over, or can you confirm strike that. So are you, or have you ever been a user of intravenous drugs?
No. Prescription medications? Yeah. Like I said, back when I got injured, I was on prescription medications.
Okay. And before living with your sister, who were you living with?
Me and my son at my house until I had some mechanical problems there. Then we was back over here.
Okay. How many times have you had to relocate in the last 2 years?
Just at one time back here, my sister, I did that place, like I said, for 30 plus years.
Okay. And then how do you you were arrested on April 29th, 2022, correct?
Yep,
Okay, and what were you arrested for?
that was, me purchasing a boat off Facebook, and that all charges have been dropped. That's why went to jail.
Okay, and you're arrested, now you're also arrested on April 27th of 2022, correct?
Yeah, yep,
And that was for a warrant for possession of dangerous drugs, is that correct?
no,
Okay, so is
I
it true,
what's
Go
that?
ahead.
Excuse me. No, go ahead, ask the question.
is it true that you had a case that you were arrested on by Charlevoix County? By the Charlevoix County Sheriff Department for possession of dangerous drugs in April of 2022?
That was my own medication, sir.
Okay,
They did blood work and everything else on me, and it's just nothing but my own medication.
okay. And what medication was that?
My Ritalin for my narcolepsy, and gabapentin for the nerve damage in my feet, and then meloxicam, that's a pill for swelling and things like that. Yes,
Okay, and why were you,
I wasn't pulled over. I stopped because my son had to go to the bathroom, and it's several miles away from the gas station in the place. So I stopped and let him go to the bathroom, and that's when the officer come rolling up there. But it wasn't like I was driving on the road or nothing like that, swerving, or he was out of the car, she climbing around or anything like that at all.
so what happened? The officer questioned you at that point?
Yeah, yeah. And then, well, you seen the pill bottle, and he said I was not able to drive under. It says that I cannot drive under those medications. I said, it clearly states right on the bottom, you just use care or caution when operating a vehicle or bus.
And you were arrested that day?
Yeah, and he told me, you're being arrested for operating under the influence of drugs.
And what did they do with your child?
That's when I had a friend right here from town come get him and bring him right to Matthew, my sister's son, came right and got him.
Okay, and did you tell Wendy about this?
Well, yeah, she knew everything like it. Yep.
Did you tell Wendy about this?
Yes.
Did you tell her that you were arrested and that that the child wasn't with you?
Yeah, it was overnight. Yep.
Okay, that when did you tell her that?
On the next visitation that she had.
Okay, and you were also arrested on September 23rd of 2022, correct?
And what? Well, I can't remember. What was that date you give me just before?
September 23rd of 2022, correct?
Yeah, it was only once I was arrested.
Out of Sheboygan County?
Oh, yeah, it was over that boat. Yep, yep.
Okay, and why were you pulled over at that time? Were you pulled over?
No, I bought a boat from the lady on Facebook, and then I got receipts and everything else, and she turned around and said I broke into her garage and stole the boat, and that's what it took all this time for me to, for them to get all the evidence, and that's why I got released with no charges whatsoever. I said that time was fair.
Okay, how did you make where did you make police contact? Was this at your house? Was this at the
I
location?
know. I took the boat right back to her,
I said, where did you make police contact?
right at her house.
Okay, and where was your son? Was he with you?
No,
Okay, okay, do you know where he was?
Yeah, he's with my sister.
Okay,
He's over eating.
and you were charged and eventually convicted of.
No, I was never convicted. They dropped all charges. It's all wrong.
Okay, I'm not done with my question. You were charged and eventually convicted of breaking and entering with felony stolen property, receiving and concealing, and a third count of larceny of building. Is that correct?
Yep, that's what I was being charged with.
Okay. And you were also convicted of those charges, correct?
No, absolutely not. All the charges was dismissed and dropped.
Okay, so it's your statement under oath that these charges were dropped.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. and you were arrested again in May of 2023, correct?
Yeah, that was on the front of the court for when I missed that one video here. You and Wendy missed one, then the following one, I had the wrong Zoom ID. I was in the wrong room waiting. And the time I called Travers and got back, they already went to lunch, and I talked to the lady, and she said that they already issued a warrant for me. But yeah,
In the, okay, in the court, so the court had issued, this court had issued a warrant for a
Yes.
show cause or a contempt warrant, correct?
yeah, correct.
Okay, and you were in custody from May 25th until what, June or late July of 2023, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and you had actually at that time several warrants, correct?
No, it was just that one I posted bond for from the front of the court.
Okay, so you posted bond. When did you post the bond?
Back in like April or May is when I posted the bond. Yeah,
Okay, but you were held until July, is that your testimony?
yeah, up in Sheboygan I was.
Oh, up in Sheboygan, so you
Yeah.
weren't, so you were actually held on the breaking and entering and receiving, concealing, and larceny of a building, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and
Yep, so I got all the evidence and everything and seen that exactly what I had in the home. You know, I had receipts and then all the Facebook messages and everything. And then, yep, absolutely released me 100%, no charges, everything was dropped.
okay, and what date was that dropped?
It was August 8th.
August 8th. Okay,
Yes.
is that when you were released from jail?
Absolutely.
August 8th, okay, so you're in jail from May until August 8th.
Yep.
Okay, and do you and again, this warrant was originally from an incident that occurred in September of 2022. And you were arrested in September of 2022, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and
Can you give me 1 second? Two
Sure.
pens just ran out of ink. Let me just grab a pen.
okay.
All right, we're good.
Okay, and I presume after you're arrested in September of 2022, you had a court date, correct?
No, they just kept the preliminary exam and they just kept doing the docket call thing via Zoom.
Okay, but by May of 2023, you had a warrant on that case, correct? And a hold.
Yep.
How did that happen?
Violated the bond because I had a warrant out of Antrim County. And that was one of my bond conditions, I guess, no contact with police or, this and that.
So
I
what was
tried
the
to find
what was the warrant out of Antwerp County?
It's for for missing that video, via Zoom.
Okay,
We're the 13th Circuit, but it's an Antrim County warrant.
got it. And
No.
my apologies here. And okay. And during that time, you'd agree that the child was with Miss Kent during the majority of the time where you were incarcerated, correct?
Well, from May 25th until July something.
Okay, and during that time, there were never any reported incidents that would pertaining to the child's safety in Miss Kent's care, correct?
Not that I know of or am ever aware of yet.
Okay, and I'm sure that was, as a concerned father, I'm sure you were happy about that, correct?
Well, absolutely.
Okay, and is it, were you surprised, I guess, was that, in fact, there hasn't, this case has been active for a few years now, and there's been never any reported incidents where of concern about the child's safety while in Miss Kent's care, since this parenting time schedule was agreed to, correct?
Yeah, because you had to have a supervisor. First is a state worker that supervises visits.
Right,
And
but I understand that, but there's been no concerning incidents that would affect the child's safety during these visits, correct?
just when he had his eyeballs split open when she was chasing him around inside McDonald's.
Okay. And you'd agree that my client's a good mother, correct?
I know I cannot agree to that.
Okay.
I mean, when
Okay.
she had to leave his home and everything, the boy was like 3 months old.
Okay, and you kicked her out of the home, correct?
No, protective
Okay.
services made her leave, or they're gonna take the baby.
Okay. And again, you have currently you are there were several instances with last year where the child had very poor attendance, and as indicated by my client, showed up to school in the afternoon while in your care. Why was that?
It wasn't an afternoon. It was a morning. If he was tardy, that's how they marked it. And once is I had COVID, so and he's exposed to he couldn't go for like 14 or whatever the hospital said, 14 or 21 days because he was exposed to COVID too.
Okay. And if the court issues an order awarding my client to be the primary custodial parent, would you comply with that order?
I guess I'd have to if the court ordered it. I was trying to work with her, and and like I was gonna say, after this went on and she got better with him, and he was more comfortable and everything with her. And as we talked about before, down the road here, in the summertime and stuff, maybe that's what she could do, is have an overnight visit here and there, and see how things went and slowly progress from there. And that's how it's all supposed to have been.
Okay. And
because she just texted me back in
you-
like April that they might be going back to work, but it'd be here and somewhere in Michigan. But her mom said that she would be able to go ahead and watch the baby. But it'd be somewhere here in Michigan. But she texted me.
Okay. And you have no concern about the child's care while in the care of my client's mother?
Not as far as him being hurt. No.
Okay, and no concerns of the child's care when with my client, correct?
As long as it's supervised.
Okay. And you again, you just testified to two separate instances within less than a year where the child was arrested, were you arrested in front of the child? It would make sense that perhaps you had supervised visits as well, correct?
Excuse me?
It makes sense that you have supervised visits as well, correct?
Did I have supervised visits?
Yes.
No, I don't have supervised visits.
Okay, but it's true that you testified to two incidences where you were arrested while the child was present and within a year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it wasn't within a year, don't seem like it wasn't. It could have been.
Okay. And
When did Ellie die? It seemed like it was like a couple of years span in between. Anyways, yes.
okay. You'd agree that Well, strike that. If I may just have one moment.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so in terms of, you indicated that he was late, all those days because you had COVID, correct?
No, not all days, no.
You mentioned COVID.
Yep, I had COVID there, and yep, I don't know if it's 14 or 21 days, but
So
then
what-
the other times he'd want to eat at the house instead of at school, because they feed him at school also. And then they got to be in the classroom at 8:15. And a lot of mornings I had him ready, dressed and all ready to go, and he'd want to end up having something else at the house. So I'd sit there and feed him, and they'd take him out of school. And within 3 or 4 minutes, they already did
How
the
does-
roll call in the classroom. So then he'd be tardy, and actually, not absent, but he'd be tardy.
Okay, and how does he get to school?
I drive him every day.
Okay, and
He's drove and he's picked up every day.
okay, and what kind of religious or moral upbringing do you provide or plan to provide for Daniel?
Oh, we go to church and stuff. I mean, not every Sunday, but we go to church and different things like that. I
Okay.
read books to him. I try reading the Bible to him. I know he don't understand it, but I'm always reading books and things like that to him and whatnot. No, we talk about the Lord.
Okay,
And, yeah, absolutely. And he's real curious about that kind of stuff.
okay. And when was the um do you have any other pending legal matters, criminal matters at this time?
No,
Okay. Um, you indicated that you were arrested, and I'm jumping around a little bit, but you were arrested because they saw pill bottles in your car.
Yep.
If they were I assume they weren't prescribed to you. Is that why?
no, absolutely, 100% prescribed right to me.
Okay. Were they in a pill bottle that didn't have your name on it?
No, they have my name right on it.
Okay.
But he said you're not allowed to drive under, like my methamphetamine for my narcolepsy. And he said you cannot drive while under these medications. I tried telling him, it says right on the bottle, just use care or caution when operating a vessel, machinery, or a vehicle.
Okay, but did he witness you driving?
No, I was alongside the road, let my son go to the bathroom. I got him out to go to the bathroom. I got him in the car seat and went around the side to the edge of the wood, went to the bathroom, put him back in the car. And that's when the cop was going by, and I turned around and come back, and I put him in the car seat. And
Okay, but okay, but he arrested you, and they took your son to somewhere to.
I waited right there until I had somebody come and pick him right up. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
I have no further questions at this time.
Okay, Mr. Bishaw, so this will be what we'll call redirect. It's if you want to say something more that you don't feel like you got to answer fully. This is your opportunity if you'd like.
All right.
Anything else that you can think of you'd like to say?
Boy, my mind is no, not at this moment. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No, you don't have to apologize. That's okay. Then the final question I have for you is, do you have any further witnesses or exhibits? Mr. Bishaw, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, thank you. So, defendant rests. Any closing arguments?
I'd like to say a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's all right. We'll
Okay.
hear from Mr. Perlman
All right.
if he would like to. I think.
Yes. Your Honor, again, this initial order was put into place, as the court is aware, in 2020 or in 2019. Again, here we are 4 years later. And whatever the circumstances were, there certainly has been a change of circumstances. We've heard multiple witnesses testify, attributing to my client's ability to care for the child, the relationship between her and the child, the her character as it pertains to parenting, and how she is fully devoted and able to be a full-time mother, and I would submit that again, there's we've established that there's a strong bond and emotional tie between my client and the child. That was evident from and without objection from testimony from Mr. Allison, and from my client's mother, and from my client herself. There's certainly a capacity and ability to show the child love, care, and affection. We've heard about her patience and her guidance and her ability to be patient and teach, educate her kid and raise her kid in a ethical way. And we heard that the family, Miss Kent's family, is very Christian oriented, and it's a very positive environment where she is located with her mother and father, and it's a very positive environment. The child thrives when he's there. He has she has a significant support system, and as such, the child has a significant support system when with the mother. Again, this is my client has been open about her past, and at this time and for the last several years, she is clean, and she is and there's no substance abuse issues, and it seems that the environment she's in, no one is again, people are not using or abusing any drugs or alcohol, and I think it was very refreshing for the child during this, especially in this extended period of time, to be around that. And we saw changes in his behavior, in his speech, and a lot of positive improvements that just by osmosis of being in a positive environment. My client has always been involved in the child's life, and continues to see the child on a several times a week. There's been there's certainly concerning issues about father's criminal history and drug use. Within less than a year, he was arrested twice with a child present, and drug relating to operating while under the influence of drugs that he wasn't supposed to be driving in his system. And again, another incident, and he was arrested in September. The child wasn't with him, but then again was arrested again in May of this year, and the child was with him. And we heard testimony how when they arrived at the pickup and drop-off location, that the 5-year-old child was in the front seat without a booster. Again, that's certainly against the law, and that raised red flags, and ultimately it turned out that when there was police contact, he had a warrant, and he spent 60 days in jail, over 60 days in jail, but he spent almost 3 months in jail. And the child was with my client again for an extended period of time, and no concerns of safety. And it seemed like an overall very positive experience. My client is able to take the child to and from school, and is capable of ensuring that his homework is done, and that he's doing everything he needs to do to be successful and on the right track. Again, we've heard multiple witnesses speak to my client's integrity and her effort to just continuously be a better parent and to comply with the court's order. There's been ongoing issues with Mr. Bashaw not complying with the court's or with the parenting time order, leading us to file multiple motions to enforce and show cause, and then multiple instances where he just failed to appear, resulting in a warrant. Again, my client has never withheld any parenting time from him. When she says she's going to be there, when she either coordinates something, and when she says she's going to be there, she's there. She never leaves him hanging. She's there. She's on the ball. She's doing everything she has to do to be a good person and to be a positive person. And it's certainly in the best interest of the child in its totality, that he be with my client and my client be the primary custodial parent. Certainly, I'm not disputing that there's a bond between father and the child, but I find it very interesting that the child didn't ask about, even though obviously the shock of seeing your father arrested is going to invoke some emotions, but after that initial instance, I found it very telling that the child didn't ask about his father once. Again, my client believes that it's very important that there be co-parenting in a healthy way, and that but the most important thing is that he's in a positive, the best environment possible. Again, given, if he is the primary custodial parent, it's important that during most of the time that he's in the best environment possible. And I think we've established that that's with my client. And certainly Mr. Bashaw, under my client's proposal, would get parenting time and would continue to have that bond with his child. And my client would ensure that happened. But certainly we've established that it's a more positive environment, and that the child is getting has access to all the resources and elements that are needed to from a parent to thrive when with Ms. Kent. So again, I would ask that the court order that the parenting time be modified and that physical custody be modified, awarding my client primary physical custody, and that she receive have the child during the week, during the school week, and that father have parenting time on the weekends, whether that's a few weekends a month or 2 to 3 to 4 weekends a month. That's certainly something that my client would be agreeable to. She doesn't want to take him she doesn't want to harm the relationship that he has with his child, but it's certainly the focus is the best interest of the child. And again, for the reasons stated, we're requesting my client establish primary physical custody. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bashaw. Do you have any closing argument?
Yes, I'd like to make a say, as far as the parenting time with Wendy, if the boy was sick the night before or something, I would let her know, be texting her, and then always offer her makeup day and this and that. And also on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, she's supposed to have her visitation that she always complained about and trying to take before. Those are her choice, not to, because her mother works, she couldn't do the Tuesdays and Thursdays. I even tried getting her, told her, well, when you find somebody else, a different supervisor, that's fine, or a different day or a different time. I wouldn't try to, keep him away from her like that. But I was really trying to work with her, and I always have been. And Mr. Perlman said there about drugs, there was no drugs, there's my own medication. And they found that out. I mean, I take blood and everything else. I mean, they come back, use my medication, and nowhere does it say, and I even talked to the doctor, there's no way anything says I could not drive on those. I mean, I've been on since 2009, I believe. Yep, and I'm 1 block away from the school here and with my sister, and no problem getting him to school, picking him up. I mean, anything that might occur throughout the day where he gets sick, this and that, or I've always been there at teacher conferences for him. I mean, he's definitely in a loving home here. He's got plenty of support and all about his education, his health, and his well-being. And that's why I had that surgery scheduled for him on his mouth and ring after his birthday. And that way he could have a chance to heal it before he did go to school. So he'd be better, and he could be understood a lot easier. Because as it is, the speech therapist is, I was meeting with them in Ellsworth. Some of the words you have to plug his nose or do different things so he could build up pressures so he could pronounce them better, because the palate in his mouth ain't quite long enough since the first surgery. And there's plenty of room here. He's got his own bedroom here at my sister's house. Whereas, the Wendy, there's like 5 people living in a 2 or 3 bedroom trailer, but he's got his own room here, his own bed. I mean, he's got every need possible, and he's got niece and nephew come over and play with him, and he's just, it's all, Matt takes him camping. I mean, just everybody, and comes to he's just a loving, caring, wonderful boy. Even in Elder school, all the teachers, every day they'd say, what kind of bond and how great it was, the high and by and give me kisses and have a good day, Dad, and all that. There every day was like that. And I was there for all the parent teachers meetings, everything.
I don't want to interrupt. Anything further, sir?
No, I just want to state that's my goal, to be right here for him and do everything possible and enjoy time with him and make sure, he's in school and best education possible and the best health he can absolutely be. And Wendy, she never went to one, what is it down there, the WIC appointment. She never went to one WIC appointment, nothing ever. That down in Blair, and I had many of them. Right up until he just turned 5 years old, I had him. But yes, I was there 100% for him, and whatever needs he needed, I no matter what it takes, I get him. Even the Haberman nipples way back when he was born, I don't care if they had to be shipped from Sheboygan or Traverse City, he'd get them one way or another.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
The-
Thank you.
the-
Ewan.
The court will take the matter under advisement and issue a written opinion. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, I just wanted to come on here and apologize. First, I'm going to apologize for my audio quality because I know that that's terrible. But what do? I'm just starting out. Give me a break, please. Just a little one. Anyways, I also need to apologize for the lack of conclusion. I learned in the video that there was no conclusion at the same point in the video that you learned there was no conclusion. I do all of my edits pretty much in real time. So there's very little of the case I've seen before I start editing it. I just kind of jump in there and see if it's something I want to put on. And if it looks good, then I piece it together. And I'm sorry. But hopefully this lets you forgive me. I did go down a rabbit hole and tried to find what the result from the hearing was. Instead, I came across this article. Can you see that? I am so sorry. That breaks my heart because the one who's going to lose out is their son. And make no mistake, even knowing what I know, I still don't think the mom is the better custodial parent. Isn't that crazy? I think neither one of them deserve him, but I hope they get it together. I really do, for the sake of their child. And for this man that I was rooting for through that whole 3-hour-long hearing and making digs at his ex-wife because she drove me batty, and she did. She drove me batty. But to see that he got charged with those substances with his older son, that makes me mad. Real mad. Get it together. Anyways, much love, y'all. Thank you for all the love and support and kindness you've shown me. I can't tell you what it means to me. You got me through some hard times. You really did. And thank you, Mike Gravelin, for everything you've done. You helped me fall into this. This was not my intention for what my YouTube channel was going to be. And I might do a live stream and like an AMA kind of thing, so we can all, talk and get to know each other. I'll get a mic first. Thanks, guys. Love you.